What's going on, everybody? This is Living in Arizona Now, and today we're going to talk about urban sprawl in Arizona and how that's affecting Phoenix in particular, but also Tucson experiencing urban sprawl. For those of you who've been to Phoenix or around Arizona, you've probably realized you need a car. There's no real transportation other than a car. I mean, there's no train, there's a limited bus system. And if you go in any direction, whether you're going north towards North Phoenix, to get from Central Phoenix to North Phoenix, you're basically going to have to take the freeway. If you took surface streets, it would take an hour, and that's just going north. So it's basically an hour in every direction. Now, if you know anything about Phoenix, it's set up like a grid system. Right down the middle is central. Everything to the east is avenues. Everything to the west is streets. So if you look on the map, right now, it's extending all the way out to 300 avenues going west. If you look on the streets, I think it goes out to around 200 streets. That goes out past Fountain Hills. And then if you have the streets going south, we're expanding into Coolidge, we're expanding into Florence, we're expanding into Maricopa, and all the way out to the west, we're wrapping around now the White Tank Mountains. But if you go to the city center, the core of Phoenix, it's hollowed out, right? Like no one really wants to go to downtown Phoenix. In fact, the Phoenix Coyotes have moved. The Arizona Diamondbacks are talking about building a new stadium. By the way, how did you guys enjoy that World Series? I thought we were going to take game one and then we would have taken game two and had a 2-0 lead, but we gave it up. I just mentioned that because I hadn't talked to anyone about the World Series, but that was an exciting time for Arizona. But outside of playing baseball and Phoenix Suns games in downtown Phoenix, there's not much going on down there. I mean, some people like Roosevelt Row, and I do hear a bit of reviews about how downtown Phoenix is great, but compared to other downtowns, it's not much. I mean, you ride the light rail. Does anyone even ride the light rail here in this group here? Um, but here's the big problem with why I think urban sprawl is destroying Arizona. Number one, Phoenix itself is actually a beautiful desert, especially in the foothills. I don't know if you guys have ever gone out towards Superstition Springs or Superstition Mountains, and actually gone out there and, cruised around and taken a cruise up the towards Canyon Lake or Saguaro Lake on the Apache Trail, or gone out past Gold Canyon. Beautiful desert. I mean, you have bighorn sheep out there, but the thing is, it's all getting paved. It's all turning into a concrete jungle. I mean, it's urban sprawl. And, in between, when you're driving out there, there's like empty spaces of land, there's trailer parks that are run down. And it's kind of like, well, hey, why don't we fill in the gaps? And you can't really blame the developers so much because they're just basically arbitraging, right? They're like, where can we buy land, build a master plan community, and then, make the most money on the houses that we sell. So that's why they keep going onto the fringes. But those fringes eventually get swallowed up by the city. And then the city center of Phoenix gets hollowed out. And that's like a big problem. Yeah, someone said, Jay said, the snowbirds are coming back. Joe says, light rail is a stretch. Look, a sketch. Yeah, the light rail just doesn't work. I mean, it's too slow. No one who has a car is going to trade in their car to ride the light rail. So whoever had this idea that we were going to build light rail in Phoenix really wasn't thinking it through, because when you build a rail network, it has to be a grade above what already exists. Well, what would have been a grade above what already exists? A train that actually moves at 60 to 70 miles per hour. So I would have built the mid-level train first. I would have built the subway metro system first. Obviously, you can't really build a subway in Phoenix. There's a couple reasons why they don't build a subway in Phoenix. Number one is the water level is actually really shallow in Phoenix. Like I mean, in some cases, you could be maybe 50 feet down and you'd be hitting the water table. A lot of people don't realize that the water table is very shallow, but also we have very hard dirt like caliche. It's not just hard clay. If any of you guys have ever tried to dig a hole in your backyard, I don't know where you guys live, but if you try to plant a tree, something as simple as an orange tree, you'll notice the clay is very hard. I used to do this at my old garden. I used to dig holes in my backyard. Sometimes I would be in a little pocket of soft dirt and it was easier to dig the hole, but then I'd end up coming across hard clay and you'd have to like wet it, go inside, wait for it to saturate, and then go back out there and try and dig it again. White Tiger says they don't like downtown Phoenix at all. Yeah, I mean they're hollowing out Phoenix and they're going in this all these directions, which is a problem. So it's like people are getting further away from each other in all different directions. And now when they build a Cardinal Stadium or a Diamondback Stadium, they don't know where to build it because they're like, well, if we build it on the west side, people from the east side won't come to the games. If we build it on the east side, people from the west side won't come to the games. So, and it's too far from the city center where everyone actually lives, right? So most people in West Phoenix are so far from the city center, they don't even want to go to downtown Phoenix to watch the Diamondbacks. It's not like Boston or New York where a large concentration of people go live right in Manhattan, right? And so that's a big problem the Diamondbacks are facing is they can't fill up the stadium. It's not that people don't want to be fans of the Arizona Diamondbacks. It's that the stadium is so far away from where everyone lives. Whether you're living in Mesa, no one wants to go all the way. No one really wants to go all the way to downtown Phoenix to watch the games. And so this is a big problem. Even with the Cardinals, I mean, they're all the way in Glendale. If you live in Mesa, it's going to take you an hour and a half to 2 hours to get to the game. And then that doesn't even include parking. I don't know if any of you guys go to those games. Overkill says, I'd take Casa Grande over Phoenix. Well, Casa Grande's pretty nice. Actually, I don't know about Casa Grande. What do you like about Casa Grande? I was going to say it's pretty nice, but I'm trying to be in agreement with you because I'm trying to see the upside here. But what exactly do you like about Casa Grande? I find it to be hot, vacant, and far away from pretty much everything. The only thing I like about it is it's cheap land and it's in between Tucson and Phoenix. We used to take railway from Tempe. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is a little bit off subject, but have you guys seen those old pictures of the dirt roads that used to go from downtown Phoenix to Tempe? You guys should look it up. But Tempe used to be a whole nother town compared to Phoenix, and it was like a dirt road to get there. And they used to have the bridge that went across. Was that the Hayden Bridge? Anyway, Parrot Heads, just drive downtown for once to support the Diamondbacks. That's a real tough comment. I've been to a couple Diamondbacks games. It's good, but I would definitely go to more Diamondbacks games if the stadium was next to me. Like when spring training happens, I got the Oakland A's next to my house, but I'm not a big Oakland A's fan. It just depends on who they're playing. Oh, Overkill says he's just kidding. Okay, I was like, I don't know what's so good about Casa Grande, but they're gonna supposedly be building more master plan communities down there. But again, as Phoenix goes into Casa Grande, it's like what Phoenix was to Tempe is what Casa Grande is to Chandler now. It's like there's some dirt roads and a Native American reservation, and then some casinos in between, and then you have Casa Grande on the fringe right next to Maricopa. It's $35 to park for the games. Yeah, that's a problem. And again, if you had an efficient rail system, you would simply just take the train down there and you wouldn't have to pay for parking, right? I mean, at this point, it's cheaper to just take an Uber. Well, I don't know how far away you live because, it's go and come back, right? But at least with an Uber, you can drink at the game and not have to worry about getting a DUI or anything like that. Yeah, cost of living is crazy. Someone said freaking apartments going up everywhere. I'm not sure if you're talking about the prices or the apartments actually being built. I think you're talking about apartments being built, but the prices keep going up. Like cost of living, I'm here in Singapore right now, and this is a smart city. For those of you who watch Island Hopper TV, I was just in Japan. I did Kyoto, Tokyo. And you want to talk about big cities. I mean, Tokyo is the biggest city in the world. It's 35 million people, I think, in the metro area. But the thing about it, it's like Phoenix Metro is the same. That's what really got me thinking about urban sprawl in Phoenix. I'm like, Phoenix has a population of 5 to 6 million, right? In the metro area. We're like the 5th largest city in the country in terms of Phoenix, not the metro size. But I was like, Phoenix Metro is the same size as Tokyo, but Tokyo's got like 10 times more the population. You like walk around Tokyo, it's very crowded. I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing, but one of the things about Japan, they have like 4 major urban areas. They have Osaka, Nagoya, Tokyo, and then in between they have like Kyoto. But they're connected by a bullet train. And the reason the bullet train works and so many people ride it is because of the second reason why the subway system in Arizona wouldn't work is because the amount of people who would ride it just wouldn't be there. The ridership would be low because it's so spread out. So, in order to fix this problem, we need to start going back inwards and building in instead of going out. So, urban sprawl, there needs to be more. I would say the government needs to step in at some point and say, hey, zoning regulations require that you can't sprawl out. So, the population demand for Arizona is there. It's just we need to start concentrating back inwards instead of outwards. Does anyone know why they have this addiction to paving the desert and destroying like the beautiful desert? I mean, it's crazy. Like especially when you have so much rundown communities inside the city core, right? Phoenix Metro is bigger than the San Francisco Bay Area in land size. Yeah, I think Phoenix is almost the size of Los Angeles, although Los Angeles Metro is huge because it's San Bernardino, San Fernando Valley, all the way south towards like Huntington Beach. But yeah, they say it's all about money. But we need to figure out what's going on in Arizona. There's a lot of incompetence in many states in the country, but Arizona, I am experiencing firsthand with a lot of things. The government in the state of Arizona is very incompetent, unfortunately. Yes, Singapore is very clean, although there is some seedy areas. The longer you stay in Singapore and you peel the mask off of Singapore, you start to realize, oh, it's not as perfect as you thought. Same thing with Tokyo. You know, the areas that you go where it's touristy, of course, it's going to be nice. But then when you actually go a little bit deeper into Singapore, you start to realize, like, okay, they got the same kind of problems that we have with hygiene and cleanliness and a little bit of poverty, but nothing quite like what we have with drug addiction because they don't have a drug addiction here like we have in the United States. Because if you do drugs here, it's illegal. But yeah, the Commonwealth of Virginia. How's it going out there? Okay. AZ has changed. The vibe from 20 years ago is gone, just like other states except Wyoming. The vibe in Arizona has changed over the last 20 years, big time. Big time. I remember growing up in Phoenix, the people like getting a tattoo was a big like it was a big thing. Not everyone had tattoos. Nowadays, it seems like everyone I have tattoos, by the way. I'm not trying to put down people who have tattoos, but it seems like people we didn't Arizona everyone in Arizona has tattoos and they don't just get one tattoo, they get like full sleeve tattoos, full body tattoos. I mean, that's like a hobby in Arizona, but that didn't used to be a thing. So it seems like there's like the Arizona starter kit. Like what would you say is in the Arizona starter kit? You got to get gauged earrings, not just earrings, but gauged earrings, like a big hole in your ear, a bored hole in your ear. And then you got to get tattoos, and then you got to get I don't know, a big truck. I mean, the Arizona starter kit. It's funny. Someone says, "How did you like Vietnam? Good place to invest." I don't really see how you can invest in Vietnam. It's a communist country. Although you don't know it's a communist country when you're there. It's just I don't know how the government is. But as an American, you a lot of countries can just arrive into Vietnam visa free, but as an American, you have to like go through this process where you apply for visa and wait like 2 weeks, and then you get to the airport. It's kind of complicated with the visa in hand. Sometimes you can get through. Sometimes you have to go wait off to the side for 2.5 hours. So it's good for Aussies, it's good for British, but obviously Vietnam had a little bit of a skirmish with us in the 60s and 70s. So uh, it's weird because when I was in Vietnam, I mean, it's one of those places you think about like, will they like me? Will they accept me? Like the second I say, where are you from? They say, where are you from? America. Oh, cool. I'm like, okay, that's one person who likes Americans. I was kind of surprised because I was like, hey, maybe they'd hate us. But it seemed like the people in Vietnam, they don't really care. I mean, in the north, it's a little bit different. There's a lot of scammers in the north of Vietnam, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, if I was to invest in Vietnam, I would say probably look at Da Nang or Saigon. Don't even mess with Hanoi because the amount of scammers that are up there. Oh my gosh, man, dude, there is so much scamming going on in Vietnam or in northern Vietnam and Hanoi. Sorry, but it's true. I mean, I literally left there typing into Google, is Hanoi known for scams? I mean, that's the case. Are you putting any new content on the crypto channel? That's funny that you should say that. I was actually thinking about doing some new content on blockchain bulls because here in Singapore, the guy that I used to work with on Altcoin Buzz, for those of you who know, he's here, and he was telling me he's like, you should make some more content for cryptocurrencies, because obviously Bitcoin's getting ready to go up, because you have the halving event coming in May or April, and then you also have the possibility of an ETF. Plus, you have major corporations like BlackRock and other corporations talking about jumping on board to buy Bitcoin, which is going to inflate the price, whether you like them or not. I mean, you can't really change the fact that these people exist, these large mega corporations. What is it? State Street, BlackRock, and Vanguard. They control like 89% of the wealth in this country, and they're all kind of like one big corporation, although there are three corporations. I think they own like 89% of Wall Street, according to Robert F. Kennedy. You guys know that guy, RFK. He's an interesting guy to pay attention to in the presidential election. I don't know who I'm going for, really, because it's none of them are perfect, in my opinion. None of them fit the bill. The five things as someone who travels around, I'm always America first. I'm America first. Arizona, America. I always put that's who I am. That's my identity. Every time I go through a passport control, it says American on my passport, right? So I kind of look at it like I'm an ambassador. Like, the way that I interact with people is the way they're going to perceive Americans, and then the person behind me who's American, the way they interact. So we're all kind of ambassadors for our country when we're traveling around. But my biggest frustration is the things that I can't control about the image of America, the things that people perceive America to have. It's kind of like the image that Arizona has. Arizona has this image of cowboys and cactuses and desert and the Phoenix Suns. Like, those are like the four things in the Grand Canyon that Arizona is known for. But the things that America are known for are not necessarily positive things. And, like, if I go to Indonesia, it's better for me to say I'm Canadian than to say I'm American. And I would rather it not be that way. I'd rather just be like, yeah, I'm an American. 20 years ago, you used to be able to say you're an American and everyone would be like, that's so cool. That's awesome. You're an American. Nowadays, you say you're an American, they're kind of like, yeah, okay. So where are you going? And I'm kind of like, oh, this isn't convenient. As someone who travels, you guys know, I mean, if you follow Island Hopper TV, my other channel, I've been to like 15 countries in the last 6 months. I've been gone, So, I go around and I see these things. People are nice. They're not just going to tell you straight out they don't like America. I mean, the only place I ever had them straight out say they don't like America was in Latin America, like in Colombia. Like, the taxi driver is basically like, you guys are American imperialists. I've heard that a little bit in other places too. Like in Hong Kong, I heard it from some like Chinese, but nothing too crazy. Jeff, what do you think are the five best states overall, or rather your top five? Well, so Montana obviously is great. Arizona's still good, especially in the small towns like southern Arizona, central Arizona, but it's cold up there. If you can get outskirts of Arizona, it's really good on the outskirts of the cities. So Montana, Arizona, Florida used to be like the go-to spot for me, but it's basically they're paving the Everglades over there also. I mean, they're totally paving the Everglades. Like, the only thing that's not paved or housed in Florida is like the national parks and the state parks that they've preserved, because they're literally running out of land to develop in Florida. But I guess Florida would still be up there because of its weather and, all the things about Florida, but it's hot. New Mexico is definitely underrated. I would say New Mexico is underrated. I don't know about the politics or the government over there, if it's going to work for everybody, but as far as a state being wide open space and beautiful high desert, it's very similar to Arizona, especially around like Santa Fe, Tahoe, and then you have the southern places around like Silver City. I mean, so New Mexico is kind of like, I don't know if you'd call it a rich man or a poor man's Arizona. I guess you could say a more peaceful man's Arizona at this point. We recently took a trip to Williams, Cottonwood, and Sedona. Thanks to your videos. It was so beautiful up there. Thank you for all your videos. Yeah, we actually have a new video coming up for Globe. The people who are locals in Globe are invited us to come up there and showcase Globe and show people that there's more going on than just driving through Globe. So that video is going to premiere tomorrow. If you guys want to watch the Globe and understand more about Globe, just check the channel for that. So Uh, our camera team went up there and did some interviews and met the people. We learned more about the history of Globe and everything there is to do up there. So if you're looking for a weekend getaway, that's an easy one. That's 2 hours. I would say on that Globe trip, just do Superior, Top of the World, and Globe. That's a day trip. You could even go down towards Roosevelt Lake. That's like an awesome day trip. If you've never been there, it's pretty cool. My favorite part would be to go past Globe up to the top where Young is, go to Young, Arizona. Someone says, I live in Florida. This is very true. There's basically no more land they can develop in Southeast Florida. Yes, Southeast Florida is Miami, Fort Lauderdale. I mean, it's West Palm Beach. It's connecting. I mean, I think they built a high-speed train, or they're building a train that goes from Miami to Orlando. It's supposed to be amazing. It's supposed to be like a privately owned high-speed train. But if you ride that, you can see a little bit of greenery still left. But I think the only part of the greenery that's still left is like state land. So have I been to Mount Lemon? Yeah, I've been to Mount Lemon. Black bear up there is very high. I mean, it seems like every time I go to Mount Lemon, I see black bears, especially around the campgrounds because they're always trying to get into the trash cans. But black bears, they're a little bit smaller than a grizzly. They're not really that dangerous. I mean, I wouldn't go up there and try and touch one or get too close, but most people, they just carry pots and pans around and go, boom, boom. Hey, bear. Hey, bear. I mean, what do you do when you see a bear, right? Like, you should probably bring some bear spray, but I wouldn't be too happy-go-lucky to spray it unless you were really under attack. Some people carry guns, but obviously if you shoot a wild animal like that, you're not just going to be able to escape with just a little bit of hey, I was self-defensing. I mean, so I would say just with the wild animals, it's your job, it's your duty not to have any problems. Don't have any beef with the wild animals. Mountain lions, occasionally you might find up there, but bobcats maybe. There's way more animals in Mount Lemon than there is in uh, anywhere around Phoenix Metro, aside from the superstitions. You could see bobcats, wildcats, because Arizona Wildcats, they're a good football team this year in college, by the way. But they started out slow and now they're playing good. Even Gronk was saying they've come around. But the Wildcats are actually not just in Kentucky, they're also out here in Arizona, and they're bobcats. They go up on top of saguaros sometimes to hide from bigger predators like mountain lions and stuff. Someone said Arizona City or Casa Grande. I haven't spent much time in Arizona City, but you're talking about central Arizona in between there. None of that really appeals to me. I mean, Picacho Peak. In the wintertime, it's a good place, okay? But in the summertime, it's just way too hot. It's a dust bowl down there. There's nothing out there. I mean, that's where they put the aircraft graveyard. There's an aircraft graveyard there. It's not just at Davis Monthan. I think they have one at Davis Monson also. But anyway, what are your thoughts on Wyoming? Yeah, I actually do business in Wyoming, honestly, because of it. But it's cold. I mean, Jackson Hole is cold. It's expensive. I think it's the most expensive zip code in the country. So I don't know if I'm a big fan of the cold weather. Summertime is beautiful. I mean, I would go up there on vacation at least once a year if I could, just to visit the Tetons, do some camping around Yellowstone and the Tetons. There's this thing going around that Americans are loving the national parks to death. So like Zion National Park has limitations on how many people can go into the park. Yosemite has limitations on how many people can go into the park. But the Tetons, it just depends on the time of year. But crowds can definitely kill the vibe of going to places like Yosemite or Yellowstone, Wyoming, the Grand Tetons. Have you when you headed back to Arizona? I'm not sure when I'm headed back to Arizona actually. I still stay up to you know par on it. I actually have probably some administrative stuff I could probably benefit from catching up on, like checking the mail a little bit and some stuff like that. My brother's been helping me with that, so we'll see. Someone said, "Nice. What part of Virginia?" Havalina overturned the garbage cans in my neighborhood. Yeah, the javelinas, people have encounters with those on the golf courses. Like, they come across a rabid javelina or a wild javelina that's just protecting its babies. Um, Javelinas, I wouldn't feed them. I wouldn't get too close or too friendly with them. I wouldn't trust those suckers. So, um, why does Tucson have so much good food? Good question. It's closer to the border. I mean, thank you to everyone who's hitting the likes, by the way. If you guys want me to keep going, I can. We're at 53. I forgot to ask for people to smash those likes. Um, what are my thoughts on Tennessee? Well, Tennessee is nice. I didn't like Nashville. I mean, it's cool to go there and visit, maybe for like 2 days and hang out around Broadway, but it's just like every other American city. It's expensive, it's gimmicky, it's a bit generic. They're trying to sell the country vibe, but it's also very boring nightlife. Like it's not a very exciting nightlife. I mean, the only way you could really enjoy the nightlife in Broadway and Nashville is you got to have a couple drinks in you. I mean, you couldn't go down there sober and really feel like you're enjoying yourself. I mean, there's a little bit of a pretentious vibe. It's kind of like Austin. Like, could I live in Austin? No. If I was to live in Texas, I'd probably lean more towards San Antonio. But Nashville, it's like a little, I called it a mini New York, or like a mix of like the Las Vegas strip. Um, the rest of Tennessee was pretty cool though. Tennessee's really got an amazing forest around there in the Great Smoky Mountains area. Thank you to 68 people. So we went from 53 likes to 68. Thank you. By the way, I'd really enjoy seeing some of you guys over on Island Hopper TV, because a lot of the fans that came from this page over there pop in and say hi and check out some of the travel videos. I don't know what kind of travel videos you guys like, but I'd be open to hearing more about that. Seems like for me, the reason I do the things to do in these cities is because whenever I started traveling a long time ago, I've been to 72 countries, but a lot of these countries I've been to like 5 or 10 times even. Like I've been to Singapore now. This is like my 8th time to Singapore, maybe my 10th time. I've lost count. So I've got some countries that I need to go to for the first time, like Maldives, Nepal, Sri Lanka. But whenever I went to these places for the first time, I always wanted to know, what is there to do? What is there to do? I found myself always kind of like, well, I'm here. What is there to do? Um, we're still talking about Tennessee. Yeah, I wouldn't do Nashville if Tennessee was on my radar. I like Chattanooga. I haven't been to Asheville, and I haven't really been to Gatlinburg, but I know a lot of people like Gatlinburg. Gatlinburg's like one of those places people can go 4 seasons, because in the winter you're going to get snow in Gatlinburg. In the summertime you're going to get beautiful weather, and then in the fall you're going to get the colors, and then in the spring you're going to get the spring emergence. Do you want to come to Iran? That one? Now's not a good time for Americans to go to Iran, I would say. Although every time I meet Iranians, they're always friendly. But I will say that, sometimes before I go travel, I usually look at the U.S. Department of whatever it is website saying like travel advisories. Iran has a hard level 4 do not go on it. It says like on the U.S. Department website, it says do not travel to Iran. There's a few countries like that. I think Afghanistan's another one. I see travel vloggers who do go to those countries, but I'm not feeling that ambitious to go. That's kind of why I'm at my 72. Like all the countries that I ever really wanted to go, I've kind of already been. I guess there's a few in the Mediterranean that I haven't been. There's a few in the Pacific, like Tahiti, Fiji, Vanuatu. I'd like to go to those, but I was looking at tickets to go to Tahiti. Tahiti is literally in the middle of the ocean in between Australia and South America. It's out of the way. It's like you got to go to, if you're going to Tahiti, you're going like way out there, man. It is far. Thoughts on Verado and Buckeye for retirement? Oh, do it. Verado for retirement is good. Again, this goes back to the paving of the desert thing. It'd be nice if they would concentrate to the center so they could build more experiences, more things to do, more amazing lifestyle. Because the excuse they always make for why they can't build something is, oh, well, there's not enough people. We can't really invest in that because of the population density. Well, concentrate the population, like build a couple high rises, pack in some crowds to Verado. That way you can build more cool stuff around Verado. Because I don't really see what you'd want to do in Verado every day. I mean, you can hike the white tanks every day, but they need some like entertainment, nightlife stuff going on around there. You'd have to really love golf because that's like the only other thing to do. So, what are the things to do in Verado? Hike the white tanks. You can't do that in the summer. Golf, you can't do that in the summer. Water recreation, I guess, go to the pool. Well, you better hope you got a pool that's really fun to swim in, or the community center has a pool to do. Or you got to do what this channel always encourages you to do, which is go on road trips, right? Like get out of the city. So from Verado, it's not very easy to get to northern Arizona. You got to go the 303 or the 20 or the 101, and then you got to wrap around to I-17. So it's not a straight shot to go north. To go west, I guess it would be good to go to San Diego. You're a little bit closer. So those are the things that I would take into consideration. How far are you away from the airport? You're close enough to the airport. I would say you could take I-10 and be in the airport in probably less than an hour. What about scuba diving in the Red Sea? I've been to the Red Sea last year. We went to Egypt. We went to Sharm el Sheikh. Then there's Hurghada. I didn't go there, but here's the thing about the Red Sea. First of all, you'll see tons of coral, because coral grows where there's not a lot of algae and stuff in the water. So the Red Sea has clear blue water in the Red Sea, right? And you see lots of tropical fish and tons of coral. So it's really a wonderland, but they have sharks. Now, everywhere has sharks, but the sharks in Egypt are super aggressive. Uh, I've seen probably the most violent shark attacks on YouTube and anywhere. They're happening either in Australia or they're happening in the Red Sea. Sometimes they happen in Hawaii. Sometimes they happen in South Africa. Sometimes they happen in California. Sometimes they happen in Florida. Like those are the main hotspots for where shark attacks happen. But I would say the most aggressive and dangerous sharks, these aren't great whites. They're not tiger sharks. They're like white tip reef sharks. The young guy died shark attack in Egypt. Yeah. So it's not just a guy. Like if you look at how many shark attacks happened in the Red Sea in the last 2 years, it's like a Russian tourist. It's always happening to Russians too. Like a woman, a Russian tourist. There was a video of the shark attack. Like someone was on the other side of the pier and they're like, "Oh my God, save her!" And like some guy comes up on a binky, but it was too late. And then there was another shark attack that happened like within 2 weeks. So that's what I got for you about the baby shark. Doo 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 doo. Yeah, that's the information I got for you about the Red Sea. Beautiful. I did swim there, and actually, I probably wouldn't have gotten the water because I thought that they had those like ropes, those nets that when I was swimming, I thought that those nets were there to stop any like predators from coming in. But then when I got out, I realized that there was no nets. That was just a buoy that was out there. So I was like, oh man, I went swimming in there with all those aggressive sharks in the Red Sea in Sharm el Sheikh. So great whites everywhere up in Cape Cod. Yeah, I've been seeing great whites even up towards like Canada, New Brunswick. I was like, I didn't know they got great whites up there, but they were in the little port area up there in Canada, Nova Scotia. Russians taste like chicken. Yeah, that's another thing right there. Um, that's weird. The white tips. Okay, now I'm thinking the sharks are mind controlled. No, Baja Girl. They got sharks in the Baja, in the Sea of Cortez. I've seen giant hammerheads coming up into the Sea of Cortez, right up there next to the mouth of the Colorado River. But I've also seen massive great white sharks in the Baja. Massive. I mean, you have to realize the most great white sharks live off of the other side of the Baja at what is it, Guadalupe Island, just off the coast of Baja. Like Shark Week always goes to Guadalupe Island in off the coast of the Baja. Thank you to everyone who hit the likes. If we get it up to 100, I'll keep going if you guys want me to. Phoenix needs to build taller buildings. The skyline reminds me of San Jose, California. Yeah, so they can't really build the downtown area. Like the tallest building in downtown Phoenix is what? The Chase building used to be called Bank One building, and I think it's empty. Like last time I was down in downtown Phoenix, it was empty. So the tallest building in Phoenix is empty. How ridiculous is that? But I think they're building a new tower, so that's good. But they can't really build it too many tall towers there because of the airport, supposedly. So that's why they have like a zoning restriction on how high they go. Because if you're ever down in downtown Phoenix, you always see like airplanes like flying in from Los Angeles. You always fly right over Chase Field, Bank One Ballpark, as I call it. But if you look at the history, Phoenix was supposed to be like the Manhattan of the desert. Um, that was what it was kind of designed for. That's the same reason why San Jose buildings are short. Yeah, the airport next to San Jose is there too. Have you seen videos of people messing with kangaroos? They will mess you up. Oh, yeah, man. I saw some kangaroos. Yeah, like some guy, his dog was being held by a kangaroo. It was like the kangaroo was holding the dog, and it was just like a person would hold the dog, just like kind of like MMA style. And then the guy goes up, and the kangaroo wants to box him like he's Tyson Fury. And I'm like, oh man, kangaroos are some unique characters. Kangaroos are no joke. Um, what are sharks eating besides us? They're so big and aggressive. Sharks. Well, what do you think sharks eat? Seals, sea lions in San Diego. That's something that being a sea lion or a seal in La Jolla would not be a very safe place to be if I was a seal, because there's so many great white sharks and big sharks off the coast of California there. But sharks eat turtles. I mean, in Hawaii, they're always eating turtles. Like going to San Diego right over the parking garage. Yeah, San Diego's arrival, the arrival into, I used to still call it Lindbergh Field, but I think they've just call it San Diego International Airport. They're building a huge international concourse in San Diego, by the way. A lot of these airports are undergoing like renovations. Phoenix already completed all of its renovations. The only thing that we can really do in Phoenix is build out Mesa or Gateway, right? But in San Diego, they're building a huge international concourse. So as of right now, there's not many international flights that come into San Diego. They mostly go into SFO or LAX because they built a brand new international concourse at LAX, getting ready for the Olympics. But the arrival into San Diego is crazy because you do come right over Balboa and you just drop down right over the hills. It's really cool. Kangaroos. People are still talking about the kangaroos. It's crazy. I mean, they're a unique animal. I mean, it's just like the javelinas. We got unique animals in Arizona. We got the bobcats. I mean, you ever seen a bobcat try to attack someone's little dog? That was a video that went out. Then there's always the coyotes. I mean, the wily coyotes we got. And then you have the javelinas. I mean, those are all just as crazy as what they got in Australia, right? Sharks are apex predators. Yeah, they definitely are. Thoughts on Mauritius? I would love to go to Mauritius, Seychelles also. So we'll see if I can get down there. Thank you that 89 people hit the likes. Let's see if we can get it up to 100. Jeff, supposed to be a wet El Nino winter year in Arizona. That's great. I love when the desert gets a ton of rain. Last couple of years, we've gotten a lot of rain. But the thing is, it seems like they're always calling every year, like, this might be an El Nino, this might be a La Nina. So I don't know. I mean, if we can get like 3 or 5 good years of rain, like rain into April, rain into May, and then monsoon season start in July, the desert will just spring up all around. It would just be great. And we'll see about fire season. Fire season, a wet winter sometimes could lead to a big fire season in Arizona, especially if there's a dry summer. Wet winter, dry summer equals fire season. I didn't know. I don't really think this year's fire season in Arizona was too bad. What's an El Diablo? I haven't heard of that one. Your neighbor's dog. Yeah, you got to watch out for your neighbor's dog sometimes. I mean, some of these animals, they get out too. Sure. I was just never concerned with sharks attacking, and usually they don't go after divers. No, they don't. That's the thing. That's why I was just saying, like, what are my thoughts on the Red Sea? It's like in the Red Sea, sharks go after divers. I mean, it's still extremely rare, but you can go on YouTube and just type in Red Sea shark attack, and you'll see there's been a few. It's also like it's like surfing in Australia. There's also some serious shark attacks like down there. I mean, I probably wouldn't swim in Australia, and I probably wouldn't swim. Yeah, Probably wouldn't swim again in the Red Sea, even though it's beautiful under there. When does Phoenix usually get the first frost? First frost usually comes around like December. I would say around like December 8th, December 10th. And then you'll get a few, but it could start around Christmas or even later. I know that you usually get like 3 or 4 or maybe even frost in January, and then February you get some frost, and then you get like 1 or 2 frost in um, March. From my experience, I would say February is when we have the coldest days in Phoenix. I'm straight. Who asked? Why are you asking me that? Definitely 100% straight, but it's okay to ask. you know, it doesn't. Why would you ask me that? That's a funny question. That is a funny question. I mean, do I seem like I might not be straight or something? Like, where would that question come from? I'd be more worried about AI than anything else in the future. Yeah, I mean, there's government control. I mean, a lot of things to be concerned about. It really is kind of concerning because you can kind of sense it. Things that didn't used to be concerning are things that are now like things that you would have thought were unfathomable maybe 10 to 15 years ago. You'd be like, no, it's not going to happen here in the United States. And now we're seeing it, which, man, I'm surprised it's happening. Yeah, that was a unique question. No, I'm not trying to like make no, it's just a unique question. I've never had someone just I've actually never in my life had someone just straight up ask me that question. Poisonous jellyfish. Yeah, I think they're like really small. I know like out here in Singapore, they have box jellyfish signs everywhere. They're like box jellyfish are spotted here. Warning, box jellyfish. Are the skies typically blue and sunny in Phoenix? How many Phoenix has like the bluest skies I've seen anywhere. Like you're not going to get like here in Southeast Asia and Asia in particular, they always have like a hazy color to the sky. Like you very rarely get a blue sky. The only place I really saw blue sky anywhere in Southeast Asia was probably in the Philippines or maybe in like Da Nang. But yeah, I mean, Phoenix, you get so many like blue sky is not a cloud in sight. I mean, especially in like February when the Phoenix Open is going, blue skies, blue skies, blue skies, except for when the weather comes in. I didn't mind diving at night until I realized what a box jellyfish was. Yeah. You're a big diver, Baja girl. I could tell. Where do you dive? Where's your favorite places to dive? Um, Today was a beautiful blue, says first name, last name. I mean, yeah, Arizona has the most sunshiny days. We've got like blue skies in Arizona. Like that's one thing. If you ever want to see blue skies, come out to Arizona. They say if you ever want to see a starry night, go up to the Mogollon Rim, go up to the Grand Canyon. You'll see some stars. So, so much sunny weather. It's good for depression issues. Yeah, vitamin D, good for depression. It is. There's a lot of reasons why there's a lot of health benefits to living in Arizona and also some downsides too. Um, it just depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for a sunset, because someone did mention sunsets in Arizona, I typically notice in order to get a really good, colorful sunset, you need a little bit of clouds in the sky, in particular to the west. If you have just a blue sky day, the sunset will not be that amazing. But you need a little bit of clouds to get those blues and the oranges, you'll notice. Can't live in Seattle if you're depressed. Oh my gosh. No, Seattle is very depressing. That's why the people up there are so depressing. What's the greenest part of Arizona with 4 seasons? The White Mountains. Yeah, the White Mountains. Mogollon Rim is pretty green. It just depends on what kind of green we're talking about, though. Are you talking about like chaparral green, or are you talking about ponderosa pines, or are you talking about like a lush desert? Because there's varying climate zones in Arizona. So, like, where's the lush desert in Arizona? You're going to get a lush desert around like the Catalina Mountains in Tucson. You'll get a lush desert around Cave Creek in northern Phoenix, and then you'll get like a chaparral area around like southern Arizona, around Tubac. You get a nice Patagonia. Those areas have like a nice green chaparral area, especially a wet monsoon season or a wet winter. Prescott does for a lush desert. Well, yeah. So I gave you those Superstition Mountains, Catalina Mountains, North Phoenix, Cave Creek area is going to have like a lush desert. Someone said heavy chemtrails. Wow. Yeah. The most chemtrails I ever saw were in Paris. I remember just like Paris had some blue skies, by the way. That was another place I had blue skies. So that's where you could really see those trails, whatever they are, chemtrails, contrails. I think they're called contrails by definition. A contrail, I know about these from when I was in the Navy because the planes, before they land, they had to dump JP5, the jet fuel. They'd have to let it out the wings because that way when they touched down, it wasn't a hard landing. Because if the aircraft was too heavy, that's your tax dollars going out the wingtips of a F-18, right? But they would fly around the aircraft carrier a couple times to dump the JP5 before they could land, and it would kind of create like a contrail, and so that's what we call them, contrails. And so I don't know if that but then people say a contrail and a chemtrail, two different things, right there. Also, the AZ flag is really fitting. Absolutely, it is. That's sad to hear. Yet it's not as bad as what they do in Vegas. Yeah, I don't know about all that. Cloud seeding and weather manipulation. Yes, they do that. They do that in Dubai. They openly do that in Dubai. Like they'll be like, today we're going to be cloud seeding. We're going to be seeding clouds with silver iodine. It's worth noting the Tucson area is about 2,000-foot higher elevation than Phoenix. I don't think it's 2,000 feet elevation higher than Phoenix, is it? Let's see. What's the elevation of Tucson? Tucson elevation. I thought it was like 1,000. 2,643. Phoenix elevation is 1,086. So yeah, it's about 1,000. 1,500. So we're both right there. You said 2,000. I said 1,000. But yeah, the zap chemtrails with frequent. Oh, I don't know about all that. I mean, the thing is, if I start talking about that on this channel, like the way the YouTube algorithm works is they hear me talking about something and that word just like triggers, and then they'll like demonetize or they'll like derank the channel with a shadow ban. So that's why I typically don't respond to that stuff, but I know what you're talking about. I will say that. um, Yeah, give me the heat. You don't have to shovel it. Well, I don't know. Have you ever done a winter? Have you ever done a summer in Phoenix? If you think you're ready for heat, do 3 summers in Phoenix. 99 likes. Almost there. Thank you to everyone who smashed the likes. Yeah, if you think you can handle the heat, do 3 summers in Arizona, and then you've passed the test. You've made it. You've made it. Someone says, I'm a flatlander, coastal plain region. I thought you were going to say a flat earther because, yeah, that argument is a rabbit hole that if you ever go down that with someone who's like a passionate flat earther, they literally obsess about the whole thing. The things that make me question the flat earth theory are number one is seasons. Southern hemisphere has summer right now. Winter hemisphere has, well, fall and spring. And then right now, you're going into winter. It's polar opposites, which makes sense according to a round earth theory. Also, the way the sun revolves and sun rises and sun sets. Sun rises in the east and sets in the west. But I mean, I've locked horns with these flat earthers and whatever you call it. I've gotten into it with them about, not gotten into it, but gotten into a dialogue with them. Like I was on a fishing boat in Kona, Hawaii, fishing for marlin. And my friend just decided to just start. I never really heard about flat earth theory. And then he just started talking to me about if you take a stethoscope and or whatever it's called, you put it over the ocean, there's no curvature. And I'm like, really? That got me thinking. But then I took like 2 weeks and he revisited the idea with me. I'm like, tell you what, man, I don't really care. I don't really care because he talked my ear off about it. What's the max temp you've ever experienced in Phoenix? Well, the max temp we've ever had was like 120, 118, 120. The most hot that I've experienced recent memory was 118. That's not going off of what my car said, because if we go off what my car said, it was in the 120s. Yeah, people's headlights are too bright. If you have a problem with the people's headlights or nighttime drivers, what you need to do is you need to get like blue light glasses, nighttime driving glasses with a yellow tint. Seriously, not you don't want to wear sunglasses at night like this. You would wear yellow tinted nighttime night vision glasses. Um, yeah, like they said, you just got to question everything and do your own research. I mean, but then when you're doing your own research, how do you know the people who produce the research are telling you the accurate facts or not some propaganda, right? So you can't just trust one form of research. You got to go like in multiple different directions. It's kind of like studying religion, right? It's like, who's the closest to the truth? Is it the Buddhists? Is it the Christians? Is it the Catholics? Is it the LDS? Is it the Hindus? I mean, is it the Islam? I mean, you know, you kind of got to go down all paths before you kind of backtrack and you realize, whoa, man, who really knows? I mean, but with science, it should be a bit more clear, like, especially with this idea of flat earth versus round earth. I mean, it's like, it's one or the other. And then what if it's none of the three? Because now there's this new theory that's like, it's the firmament. It's a, another thing about the round earth thing is like, so all the other planets, the moon and everything else is round, but we just happen to be a flying saucer. But one thing I will say, well, I'm not going to actually talk about it as much as I want to. I should start a Rumble so I can talk about things more freely. But um, again, censoring free speech. Like I can't have free speech here. You know, it's crazy. Um, Water would never adhere to a spinning ball. Water always seeks to its own level. Sure, there could be a valid point that we could, you know, discuss, right? But I can't really get over the fact that the seasons, like explain the seasons. Where's the ice wall at the edge of the earth? Like, you know, where's the ice wall at the edge of the earth? Show me the ice wall at the edge of the earth. Show me the edge of the earth. That's what I always tell someone, like, show me the edge. And they always say, well, why do you think no one can fly over Antarctica? I don't know. Let's stay on AZ. Yeah. If you're not used to the heat, you will say it's miserable as you pass the road workers working all day. Best food I've eaten in Singapore? Well, I just had some laksa. That's pretty good. It's like this, like, yeah, it's laksa is a good soup. Um, I always eat wonton noodle with char siu, to be honest with you. Like when I'm in Vietnam, I eat pho. When I'm in Singapore, I always have wonton noodle with char siu. So that would probably have to be my favorite that I always eat. When I'm in Thailand, I seem to always eat pork belly. Like I'm always eating like crispy pork, fried. I don't know what it is about that, but when I'm in China, I probably lean towards crispy pork or beef. When I'm in the US, I always eat steak. When I'm in Australia, I always eat steak. Uh, yeah, as far as seafood goes, like in Japan, I ate some tempura prawns. It seemed like that was something I was eating. I was eating a lot of ramen noodle. Like I really like ramen noodle. So yeah, you get a wide variety. So if you have any questions about Arizona, we can talk about that. I lived at the top of the world between Superior and Miami with my grandparents in the summers of the 60s. Blessed. Yeah, I mean, growing up in Phoenix in the 90s was great. Growing up in Arizona in the 90s was great. Good memories, really good memories. Something changed around like 2010, though. Whatever shift happened around, like, maybe the Mayan calendar, who knows? But whatever shift happened around like 2011, it seemed like Phoenix lost its or Arizona lost its way, and we've changed into this new paradigm that we've become. What heat would say is worse, Orlando or Phoenix? Ooh, two totally different heats. Maybe Orlando because it's like sticky wet, really wet. Arizona is just like a hot oven. It's not moist or humid. Even during monsoon season, it's nothing compared to what you would get in Orlando. Also, I feel like the sun is even brighter in Orlando, believe it or not. How many months have I been traveling out of the US? I've been out for like 5.5 months. We'll see how long I go. But I get so many perspectives on going to Singapore, going to Tokyo, and then looking at Arizona. When I go back to Arizona, I'll see things and I'll be like, why don't we do that? Or I'll see things here in Singapore and I'll be like, I wish we had that back home in the States. I wish we had that back home in Arizona. So it's really this cool lifestyle that I have where I'm like, home for a year, gone for a year, something like that. I travel with friends occasionally. Like I was just with a friend for 7 days. They were traveling with me. And then I'll go solo. I actually really enjoy solo travel because the freedom and the convenience. Don't have to really, you could sleep in, you can wake up. If you're traveling with someone, you got to wake up when they want to wake up. Like if you want to stay up late, you can go out, things like that. So traveling long term with somebody can be a bit draining unless you're like totally on in sync. But solo travel definitely gives you flexibility. How's your HOA acting lately? Well, I've got that in check, but the state of Arizona is the ones giving me problems with. They keep asking me for documents. Number one, my company is not even in Arizona, so it's not the corporate stuff, it's personal tax. They keep asking me for the same documents, and I'm kind of like, how incompetent are you? And I have my accountant over in Arizona. I'm kind of like, can you take care of this? And I pay them, and then I think the problem's gone away, and then it comes back, and I'm like, what exactly document are you guys looking for? And they're like, go on to the Arizona State website and download form, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, well, I'm out of the country right now. Can I just fill this out on email? Excuse me, sir, you need to download it, fill it out, and then sign it and send it to us. And then you send it to them, and then you're like, yeah, I sent it to you about 2 months ago. Did you get it? It might be on a county observer's website. I'm kind of like, oh my God, the state of Arizona is going through it right now. How do I? Well, I have a travel business. That's one way I afford it. I agree that I believe Orlando is further south than Phoenix, but I've never been to Phoenix. Here in Singapore, for example, this is right there on the cusp, literally right there next to the equator. That's another thing. Equator, explain that one, the center of the earth, right? But the equator, the sun down here doesn't feel that bad. The brightest sun, there was a place that I went that had like the craziest bright sun that I was just like, this is the hottest sun I've ever seen. I think it was Australia down by Melbourne. And they said, oh, it's because someone was asking about Auckland and I forgot to answer it. Melbourne, Australia had like the brightest sun. They're like, oh, the ozone layer is getting eaten up. I'm like, well, there's not very many people down in Australia. It's like very low population density. I mean, if anywhere was going to get a hole in the ozone layer because of pollution, it probably wouldn't be Melbourne because there's nothing really down there. I mean, the population density of Australia is extremely low. It's got less people than even the state of like Florida, let alone California. So, I mean, if anyone was going to be burning a hole in the ozone, it would be like India, India or China or Japan even. So have I been to Italy? I've been to Italy like 5 times. Yeah. Italy's good. South Africa was the biggest sun I've ever seen. Yeah, that's interesting to hear. Yeah, the sun seems brighter in some areas. There was some place I went recently where I remember being like, the sun is wicked. Like Costa Rica, for example, is close to the equator, but I didn't really think it had a very bright, hot sun. The bright, hot sun that I've seen, where was I? Oh, man, I'm trying to remember. Where was the hottest sun you've ever seen? Someone in the audience. I felt like it was Australia, but I want to say it was somewhere in Europe. Oh, Spain. Spain, in the Mediterranean. I remember just burning, just wicked, cooking hot in like Ibiza. Yeah, Ibiza. It was like so hot in Europe. That was where it was, Europe. In the summertime is Greece in the Med. That is like the hottest sun. That is like the most dangerous sun in the Med, in the Mediterranean. What do you guys think? Have you guys ever been there? I remember just being like, what is up with the sun over here? Apparently, Mississippi has the most humid summers in the U.S. Mississippi. I'm not a big fan of Mississippi. There's not much that appeals to me in Mississippi at all. I went to Biloxi and I was like, okay, been there, done that. You area cool guy, man, very experienced. Oh, thank you. How do you like Auckland? Let me answer that one. So Auckland was I like Auckland. I could live in Auckland. There's a few places like that I've been to around the world. I mean, I've made videos about it. I've talked about it. Places I would live, places to retire. I think on Island Hopper TV, we're going to launch a video. I've already made the list. The videos are already ready. I just got to narrate it. It's the best places to retire in the world. And I think it's a list of 20. um, the cheapest and best places to live in the world. And I'll say New Zealand. I don't know if I put New Zealand on that list, but the reason it wouldn't have made the list was because it's expensive. I think most people who are retiring are looking for affordability, safety, and peace. That's, I think, what people want to do in their golden years, right? They want peace. But I could live in Auckland. I could live in Gold Coast. That's a place. It's a little bit hotter up there. I'd probably want to be in between Sydney and Gold Coast if I was to live in Australia. That's a pretty sweet spot. Perth is another place I would live. But Costa Rica seems to rank high on that list. Although it's getting expensive. Panama is like a little bit cheaper version, but a more dangerous version of Costa Rica. What are your thoughts on the Vegas F1 event next week? Well, they have a big F1 event here in Singapore. They have a big F1 event in Monaco, both of which I've seen how powerful F1 is. But I think it's good that they're bringing F1 to Phoenix. Where are they going to do the F1 at? Firebird Raceway or whatever it's called, Phoenix International Raceway. They still call it PIR. Puerto Rico? Well, Puerto Rico's in the U.S. It's expensive. It's tax-free. That's a good thing. But the people in Puerto Rico really don't want you there. It's kind of like Hawaii. It's getting expensive. Puerto Rico is getting quite pricey. It's like going to U.S. Virgin Islands. I would live in the U.S. Virgin Islands if I could afford it. It's expensive though. And, like St. Thomas, I would live on St. Thomas. There's some places in the Caribbean that are worth checking out. Retiring in Greece would be cool, especially on one of those Greek islands. If you can get in there with the locals and make friends with them and build a sense of community in Greece. Oh, Vegas F1. Sorry, Vegas F1. I was thinking Phoenix for a second. They're going to do it what, on the Strip? I don't know much about the Las Vegas F1 actually. Sherry said she met her husband in Greece. Nice. Greece has good food, good people. I like it. Oh, it's on the Vegas Strip. Okay. The only place I think of in Greece is Mykonos or even Athens. And neither of those would I live or retire. So there's a lot more to Greece than Mykonos or Athens. I would not live in Athens. I don't think I wouldn't. No, I probably wouldn't. Maybe I still have to go to Thessaloniki to see if I'd live there, but maybe Crete. I haven't been there, but I need to go there. But I've been to like 7 islands. I've been to Eos. Eos is probably my favorite, but it's really laid back. Like you got to really be laid back to go to Eos. But it's cool. It's a beautiful island. Then there's Paros, which is another one. There's Naxos. Again, we made a video, best islands in Greece on Island Hopper TV. You guys can watch that. Just go to Island Hopper TV, type in best islands, and you'll see my opinions on best islands in Greece. We were Air Force. Okay, so you were stationed at Suda Bay, or where were you? Have you been to Dutch St. Martin? No, I've been to Aruba, St. Martin. I've been to Aruba, Dutch Aruba, but I need to go to St. Martin and check those out. St. Martin or St. Martin? There's 2 St. Martins, right? What about Azores or Portugal, in your opinion? Again, another place I need to go. I was actually, when I was in Philippines, I met a lady. She was from the Azores. No. Yeah, was she from the Azores? Which one's the ones off Morocco? Because there's the Canary Islands, the Azores, and then Cape Verde. The ones that are off Morocco is the one she lived. She said it's beautiful weather year round. I was like, oh, I need to go there because I've been trying to go there to the Azores and the Canaries, to Madeira and Tenerife and stuff. First name, last name made a funny comment. He goes, I met a strange lady. She made me nervous. Have I been to Finland? Yes, I went to Finland. I was there last year. I went to Helsinki, and then I took the ferry from Helsinki to Tallinn, Estonia. And that ferry was awesome. I think they call it the Redneck River. No, the Balkan Redneck Riviera or something. They have a funny name for the people in the Balkans. Is that the name? Not the Baltic. The people, I read like an article that made a comment about, so it's like this, the Baltic is much more cheap. It's much more affordable part of Europe. And the people who ride it, they're kind of like I think they're Slavic. They're a mix between like Russian, but they're Eastern European, so they're not Russian. And it's good vibes all around. I mean, it's a cool experience. Like, but they had a funny name for it. I think the locals even called it the same thing. It's like America's version of like rednecks on the Baltic, but it's just because it's cheap. It's like going to Mississippi on a river cruise or something. But it's just a cheap experience with like staterooms and casinos on board and fine dining. And I like Finland and Estonia. Estonia is a place you never think of because of the name. You think, well, Estonia, I don't know if I'll go there. It's actually pretty cool. Have you been to Trinidad and Tobago? No, not yet. That's another place I need to go. Your videos helped me move to Phoenix from Massachusetts. Thank you. I love Arizona. Good to hear, man, Jerson. It's good to hear that you're enjoying it so far. He's going to take me back this year, but he past last year. It would be difficult to go back now. Where's that? Helen Econ. I have not been there. What is the most unique geological area you've ever been? Iceland is up there. Hawaii, the Big Island of Hawaii. The Big Island of Hawaii is probably it. Okay, Big Island Hawaii has like 7 of the 11 climate zones, maybe even more. So you can go from like tropical rainforest to desert to semi-arid to all these different climate zones. However, whatever the 11 are, there's 7 of them on the Big Island. Then there's Mauna Kea, Mauna Loa, Kilauea. And then there's also, not Kealave, but Kalu'u. And so then you have these valleys where Kalu'u is. You have the Waipio Valley. You have, what is it? I can't remember them all. It's been so long. I used to live on Big Island for 2 years in Kona. But, man, then they have the Kalu'u Valley. They have rainforest and Hilo, like dense tropical rainforest. Like if you've never been to a rainforest, go to the rainforest in Hilo. That is a real rainforest. Then obviously, I don't know, man. Have you guys ever been to the Big Island? Like, no, Iceland's cool. Iceland's cool, but Big Island is better than Iceland. It is. And a lot of people, I never knew why they never promoted the Big Island. Big Island never got much promotion. Everyone always goes to Maui. It's a little bit more rugged, I guess, but man, Maui's cool, but you live on Maui for like, I lived on Maui for a year. You live on Maui for a year, you get bored for sure. Big Island, you can never really get bored. Kona, yeah, I mean, go to the Big Island and do a Circle Island tour. Go around the full island of Big Island. Kona, even up there by Waikoloa. It's so different. It's so cool. My mother's side of family is from there. Where? Yes, on Mauna Loa, snow. They do get snow. You'll be down at Kilauea and see like that's a cool thing. Like go there in the winter to Hawaii. You'll see snow on Mauna Loa. You'll be surfing at like Ho'okena, and then you'll go around to like Kilauea, and you'll see the volcano erupting, and then you'll just drive down to the this like fertile breadbasket of fruit down in Puna, all in the same day. You're like, what is going on here? What is going on here? So yeah, Kona is a good base camp, but when I'm talking about the Big Island, I'm not talking about just Kona. I'm talking about the Big Island, like going around the Big Island. It's a small island. I mean, it's the size of Phoenix Metro. It's maybe smaller than Phoenix Metro, actually. So it's called the Big Island of Hawaii because it's the biggest island in the Hawaiian island chain, but it's not a very big island, but it's big, I guess. They have green sand. They have black sand. I mean, if you're looking for the ultimate adventure vacation, the Big Island's got you covered. Stay in Waikoloa Village at the Hilton. And man, it's making me want to go back there now. Stay at the Waikoloa Village at the Hilton. It's the coolest hotel I've ever seen. Or stay at the Mauna Lani, but the Hilton's my favorite. And rent a car and explore the northern part of the island one day, and then the southern part of the island the other day, and then the Hilo side of the island the next day. Do 7 days. Every day in between, do like a chill day, golfing, relaxing, beach day, and then do another adventure the next day. So it's like 1 day adventure, beach day, relax, golfing the next day, and then adventure again. And you do that, you got those three areas: northern Big Island, which is not Kahului. Oh man, so many places going through my head right now. I just said it. Kahului, not Kahului. Either way, just go to YPO Valley. YPO Valley, and then go to Hilo, and then go to Puna, and then go to the southern part of the island where they got the green sand beach, Volcano National Park. Even go up to the top of you need like 10 days in Big Island to really do it. Haleakala is on Maui. Gold in the sand, sweet aloha dreams to you. Goodbye, Hilton. Or what? Nice. I was going to watch fireworks in Waikiki tonight. It's 30 miles away. Waikiki. Oh man, Waikiki. No, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you. Who's the high chief? Are you related to Kamehameha? Born and raised in Hana, Maui, and then I moved to Puna, and then 4 years ago I moved to Mesa. Now I'm in Phoenix. So different. So different. So different. You've got to miss the island life at some point, but then there's some things you can really appreciate about being in Arizona, right? So it's Waikiki. Yeah, Waikiki, man. You know about the Hilton. Yeah, the Hilton Waikoloa. Look it up online if you have any questions about it. It's getting old though. But it's great. It's a great place. With all your travel history, what has been your worst airline airport experience? Oh man, I got so many. I got my favorites. Singapore is one of my favorites. It's a best airport, but it's so busy. Like avoid Terminal 1 at Singapore if you can. But the worst airport experience I had, Stockholm or Arlanda. Stockholm Arlanda Airport. Wow. It's so cool because they got like this Arlanda Express train that takes you there. But what happened in Sweden, I think they didn't expect like a population boom because there's only like a small population of like Scandinavians in Sweden, but they invited a bunch of immigrants to come live there now. So their population went up big time. So now it's like, so it like busted the whole airport at the seams. I mean, you go in there, the lines are long. I've seen long lines in Bangkok too. Like if I was trying to fly out of Thailand, I would not fly out of Bangkok. Get an exit airport aside from Bangkok. maybe Don Wang, but Savannah Boom was crazy the last time I was there. Like the line, I was going to South Korea and I was like, this is too long. I think a lot of airports are busting at the seams with these lines. Like if you check in your luggage and it takes you 2 hours just to stand in line to put your luggage on the carousel, that's not travel. That's signing up for a hell week, hellish experience. Atlanta is no good. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Atlanta. I'm not a fan of Denver. Manila, I'm not a big fan of that airport. One of the best airports is Phoenix. Phoenix is a good airport, although I'm not a big fan. What terminal is American Airlines in? Terminal 4 or Terminal 3? We do not want anyone moving to Wickenburg. Okay, thanks, John. Thanks. John just wanted to come on here and tell you he doesn't want anyone moving there. Thank you. Best centrally located town in Arizona, get between north and south. Ooh. Well, Anthem. Gotcha, John. They say that about everywhere. I mean, there's not a place in America right now, in the world really, where people are not like, we're full. The truth is, I mean, it's coming to a town near you. Overpopulation is everywhere right now. Like if you start going down that path, you start sounding like the depopulation people, where you're like, we got too many people. We need to cull the population. I mean, you don't really want to go down that path either. But no, I mean, name a place. I mean, people in Phoenix, all over Phoenix, are saying it's overpopulated. They've been saying that forever. Tucson's overpopulated. Cave Creek's overpopulated. Every town is full. And the thing is, if you're not a full town and you think you're a full town, you'd be surprised because that's where the overflow is going. Sunny Slope. Oh my gosh. Sunny Slope. There's nothing I have positive to say about Sunny Slope. Well, let's see if I can say one thing good about. They probably have some good Mexican food down there. I've had some good Mexican food in Sunny Slope for sure. Uh, you couldn't pay me to live in Sunny Slope. Nope, nope, no. Hatcher? Yeah, I'm not a big fan of depopulate. I like what Elon says about this idea that we're not overpopulated. It's just we need to kind of like spread it out maybe a little bit. That would be good. But we're talking about um, urban sprawl, so maybe spread it out. It would have to be like more intelligently designed. Like that's the thing with like Arizona, right? Where's the intelligent design to any of Arizona? We started out very intelligently designed because if you look at how Phoenix is laid out on that grid, avenues on the west, streets on the east, central goes right through the center. Genius. Broadway, Southern, Baseline, all of those roads are there. All of that's great. But outside of that, now you go out to Santan Valley, you're like, what did they just color something on the map and then just be like, there's our community? Because like you go into these Santan Valley homes or Florence, any of these new communities, what are they doing? And you have to question how long those houses are going to be able to stand up because like it's like stick wood, build the houses like it's like wood, concrete pad, wood, uh, insulation foam on the styrofoam in the middle, some insulation in the middle, and then like stucco on the outside. And you're like, I don't know how long that house is going to stand. Like, does it have a? Can it? Will it live to be 50? Will it live to be 100? What are they going to do with all these houses after 100 years? Because they're not built of block. They're not built of granite, stone, anything like that. It's literally just like synthetic housing material with some wood as a frame. Yeah, John, you're right. Find a place that sucks. No one moving there. Okay, the worst place like that. Oh man, go to Idaho. They got some really. They got. I was all excited to go to Idaho, and I ended up in like Idaho Falls, and I was like, no, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do Idaho Falls. No, it was right next to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, because we were talking about Jackson Hole. Thanks to 119 people who hit the likes. If you guys hit up the likes to 200, I'll keep going. Hey, I see some of you guys came over to Island Hopper TV to watch some of those videos, so thanks for that. That's cool. I also got that Island Hopper TV travel highlights and hotels channel. If you guys want to see all the hotels around the world, check out Island Hopper TV hotels. That one's cool because like I show you all the hotels everywhere I've been. Japan. To be honest with you, some of them are just like better than the United States. Yeah, better all around. I mean, I hate to say it as an American, like I said, I mean, it benefits me not at all to say anything negative about the United States. Okay. I'm just a truth seeker. Like I'm like the type that's going to say like, hey, pull up your pants, son. If you want a job, you're going to have to pull up your pants. If you want a job, you're going to have to clean lines, shaves, get everything. You have to clean it up. You have to get a nice clean cut, haircut, whatever. But that's the mantra. That's the idea that I put. But people they hear like me say like, oh, the hotels outside the United States in Asia are better than the United States. Are like, you're anti-American. You don't love America. I'm like, no, I love America so much. I'm going to tell you the truth so that you can get back on board with what made the country great. Because it sure as the heck wasn't setting the bar low and then hitting the target low. It was setting the bar high and then going above and exceeding beyond the expectations. That's how you build the Hoover Dam. That's how you build amazing projects. And I'm not seeing that in the United States, but I'm seeing it elsewhere. So that one definitely irritates. My other channel is called Island Hopper TV, but I have like 4 channels with Island Hopper TV. I have Island Hopper TV Food, Island Hopper TV Hotels, Island Hopper TV Travel Highlights, which is a really cool channel. If you haven't, that's probably the Island Hopper TV Travel Highlights is more in the raw and real travel experience. Whereas Island Hopper TV is more of like the give you the information, straightforward, higher production cost, higher production value. But Island Hopper TV highlights definitely probably the one that's going to give you the most boots on the ground, like real stuff behind the scenes. And then the travel hotels one is the Island Hopper TV hotels one is good because it shows you all the hotels. I mean, I was staying at like Hilton. I just stayed at the Andaz in Singapore. Obviously, it's a business expense because I'm making a video. Island Hopper fish. Yeah, fish. I was actually thinking about I was like, oh man, if I was like Island Hopper TV beaches, Island Hopper TV animals. I was thinking about creating that, but I'm like, how much is too much channels? Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for checking them out. Bro, just bought second house in Mesa. Nice. Yeah, I mean, I own a house out there. I'm kind of thinking like maybe I'll just rent it out and make it an investment. And it's a condo. I don't think it's a place I'd live full time, but I'm sure I could do good renting it out or just holding on to it. Mesa Rock Bridge area. I'm sorry. What are you talking about? Is Phoenix home for you? Yeah, my home base is in Mesa. Um, Mesa Rock Bridge area. Never heard about that. Island Hopper bars. Yeah, so that would be Island Hopper nightlife. That's on Island Hopper TV travel highlights. I've done like 10 different nightlife videos. I did Hong Kong nightlife. I did Saigon, Ho Chi Minh City nightlife. I did Tokyo nightlife, Bangkok nightlife. Yeah, just look at on the channel, type in nightlife. You'll see all the nightlifes I experienced. But that's the bars concept. I wish, see, the thing is when I do the nightlife, it's usually like I'm out all day filming like activities. So like when I go out there, I'm not like fully charged, but I should just like focus on the nightlife a little bit more and just make more nightlife videos. Oh, Passport Bros. Oh man, that's a movement that doesn't have a good stigma, but I mean, Passport Bros are based. I don't see how I could not call myself a passport bro at this point, considering I literally travel so much and my passport is always on me going in and out of all these countries. So yeah, I mean, you could say that I can relate to that experience, although it doesn't have a good what do they call that, reputation. I mean, another term that's thrown around is digital nomads. I'm like a mix between like a backpacker, a digital nomad, and a passport bro, right? Like it's like which community are you going to align with, right? Either way, at the end of the day, no one's the same inside of any of those movements. So everyone's an individual. It just depends on uh, what you consider yourself to belong to that community that you identify with the most, right? For me, I don't really put a label on it. So, but I will say that I'm all of those in between. Like backpacker, I'm backpacking, right? I hang out with backpackers. Like I make friends with backpackers. I make friends with digital nomads. Um, it is what it is. Where am I now? I'm actually in Singapore. The bad stigma for passport bros lies from the haters. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of lies. People, that's the thing. There's so much haters out there. I mean, even as a traveler, people are going to say things. They're going to say like, "Oh, what's your carbon footprint?" That's the thing. You can never make everyone happy, no matter what you do. Even on this channel, if I talk about small towns, people are going to be like, hey, don't send people to my small town. Why are you telling people to move to my small town? If I talk about Phoenix, they're going to say, hey, why are you telling people to move to Phoenix? If I talk about Arizona, they're going to say the same thing. So it's like, you can't please everyone. So you just kind of got to let it just roll off your back, right? And try not to be a hater yourself. Like, I mean, there's things I obviously have an opinion on, but someone said move to Ajo. Ajo is an ingredient and a city. Ajo. Ajo's a cool place. Ajo is cool. It'd be beautiful to build like a nice 1 acre house. Have a 1 acre in Ajo up on a foothill. That would be a good place to spend your golden years. Actually, this video is brought to you by Coke Zero. I don't drink much caffeine anymore, but when I do, Coke Zero. Yeah, damned if you do and damned if you don't. I mean, thank you to everyone who's smashing up the likes, putting 100 on there. Thank you. Gold Canyon, I will look into it. Mahalo. Yeah, Gold Canyon, man. We talked about Gold Canyon so many times on this channel. It is a hot spot. It's a good place. Thanks to 132 people smashing up the likes. Hit the likes up and we'll keep going. Yeah, Deacon man, I hear you. That's the thing. You can't let the naysayers stop you because there's so much chatter online. And that's one of the things about watching the news. It's like travel right now with what's going on in Israel and what's going on in Ukraine and all that. Like, if I listened to the news so much, I would not be traveling right now. I'd be paralyzed with fear to leave the United States. That's true. But obviously, I've been, traveling around because I ignore the news. It's if I watch that news, I'm telling you, it's so effective at getting in your head. I mean, there's a movement for everything too. Like, there's like one of the things that's kind of come up is there's this thing called cultural appropriation. And you do one thing and they'll come after you. Just one thing. Well, anyways, in Korea, it was kind of cool because the Koreans are like this. So in Korea, you're actually invited to wear like the what do they call it? Ethnic clothing when you go to Seoul. They encourage you to wear like the dresses, the hats, no matter where you're from, you can do it. And they're like, and the elders in Korea are like, they encourage you to do it. They're like, we don't have a problem with it. But the youth in Korea have like transformed it, and they've been like, well, in America, for example, they would call this cultural appropriation, where you're wearing some ethnicities cultural clothing, and at a school or a college in America, they'd tell you, don't do that. It's so bad. But in Korea, they encourage it. Well, then I saw this one guy. He went down to Latin America, or he went down to a college campus wearing like a sombrero and a poncho. Just some young guy doing an interview, and he goes down to Valero Street, and he goes, someone did a mega like. Who did the mega like? Thanks for that. I don't know what these features are, but that was cool. And he goes down there and he's like wearing it, and all on the college campus they were like, you shouldn't wear that. Are you Mexican? You can't wear that. You shouldn't wear that. And all these college kids are saying you can't wear that. He goes down to the Mexican neighborhood and he's wearing it, and they're like, you look cool. He's like, I like that. He's like, you look good. Like interviewing like 10 different Mexican dudes. They're like, yeah, I like that. And so you have this like weird mindset in America going on where people are just like, what are you talking about? Like the cultural appropriation thing, people speaking on the behalf of other people, which is not even what the other people, they're trying to represent people a false narrative. And so it's kind of crazy, especially when you travel around. Like when you travel, they want you to experience the culture. They want you to wear the clothes. They want you to be like that. It's kind of like how you are as an American. Like there's a lot of people in America that are like, we don't care if you move to America, but when you move here, become an American. That's the same way that people feel about like dressing up, as long as you're not making a mockery of it, of course. Like if you do it to make a mockery, that's rude, right? But dressing up, participating in the cultural stuff is actually considered good. It's not considered bad. That's what I've realized about the travel recently. But you're going to have haters if you dress up. It's like going to a zoo. Like people, I make a video about going to an animal park, and people will come in there and be like, don't support animals in a zoo. And I'm like, oh my God. Okay, here we go. So you get like, and then you click on their picture, right? And it's someone with like 6 dogs and 2 cats. You're like, okay, so you're against zoos, but you've basically imprisoned and enslaved 6 dogs and 2 cats to live at your house, right? I don't know. So I'm sitting there thinking, like, give me the logic in that. Like, can those dogs roam freely in the wilderness? Are they free? Are they free in the wild? No. So and I've had dogs. Obviously, I'm not making a point about dogs or dog owners or animal owners. What I'm saying is like, there's benefits to a zoo. Like they're protecting a species, like pandas in a zoo. Like, yeah, I would love to see the pandas in the nature, but they're protecting the species. They really are. Welcome, newbie. Who's newbie? Oh, we got a newbie. Welcome, Deacon MMA, signing up as a channel member. Right on. Hey, cool, man. That's cool. Where are you from, Deacon MMA? I know you were commenting earlier. A, attitude. L, love. O, others. H, helping. A, appreciated. Aloha. Yeah, aloha. You know where I actually experienced the most aloha? Because, I lived in Hawaii. There's some aloha, obviously, but there's also a lot of resentment towards haoles and stuff. You know where I experienced a lot of aloha was in the Philippines. Like if you wanted to experience, Clovis, California. I used to live in Lemoore, so I know about Clovis. But yeah, Philippines had a lot of aloha, I would say. I think, I don't know what they call it over there. They don't have a word for it. They just are genuinely like friendly and nice. Thailand has a lot of aloha in my experience, especially in the rural parts of Thailand. Jerson, I live right near Buckeye. Urban sprawl is bonkers here. I feel bad for the wildlife. Yeah, it is bonkers, but there's not much wildlife really. I mean, in the flat area, maybe in the hills, you're gonna have more coyotes. Like, yeah, the coyotes have definitely had to pack up shop and move all around Phoenix over the years, right? Where didn't I live? Um, a lot of places. It's kind of like I look back on my track record of where I've been around the world. I'm like, how many times have I been to Thailand? 10. How many times have I been to Philippines? 4. How many times have I been to Japan? 3. How many times have I been to Singapore? 8. How many times I've been to Italy? 3. You know, it's like, and then I haven't been to like a lot of countries, right? So I've only been to 72 countries, but I've been to the countries that I go to, I keep going back to. So it's like I found my core 72 and I haven't branched out of that. Although I need to go to Maldives. Sometimes just branching out into these other countries, it's exhausting because you got to learn the whole way of the road. So once you get to a certain point, you got your 72 countries that you just go around to. It's like the states, you know, 50 states, right? What's your favorite state? I mean, people asked me earlier, only been to 72 countries. Well, I mean, I've only been to 72 countries. I could have been to all of them or over 100 at this point. Um, but I I've been capped here. I mean, I'm trying to go to Nepal. Usually when I go on like a new country tour, it takes a lot of energy inside of me to just like mentally prepare to go into Sri Lanka, to go into Nepal, to go to these new places. I'm sure once I get there, I'll love it, but it's like you got to learn a whole new lay of the land. No, I have not, Jay. I went to US Virgin Islands and I found out that that is right next to St. Thomas. Like I went online, I watched one of those documentaries, probably the same one you watched, and I typed in the name of the island, and I was like, where is that? And I'm like zooming in on, I'm like, is that St. Thomas? I'm like, so wait, when I was in St. Thomas going on a ferry to St. John, that island that I saw right there was that island, and I'm like, wow, okay. So that's a crazy story. Bangladesh. I keep getting invited to go to Bangladesh because a lot of people I work with in the tech space are from Bangladesh these days. I was researching Bangladesh, but it's very overcrowded from what I understood. And I think there was a little bit of political unrest. That's kind of what's stopping me from going there. I'm sure it's nowhere near as bad as what the State Department website says. Um, but we'll see. Oh, Maldives and Oman are a must. CJW, I want to go there, and I was really wanting to go there right now, but I'm not sure how the American sentiment from the Islamic communities is. Probably I'll go to Dubai and just get a feel for it. So far, like all the Muslims that I've bumped into, I didn't feel any like animosity as an American because of the Palestine conflict. But you know, as that thing intensifies or heats up, I'm kind of waiting on that to cool down before I go to like Maldives or to Oman or into the Middle East. But I do want to go to the Middle East right now because it's a good time of year for the Middle East because of the weather, obviously. So we'll see. Thank you to the 139 people who smoke. Someone's saying smoky, but I meant crushed up the likes. Gulf countries love Americans. That's a good point, JW. Thank you for saying that because that might just be where I go next. Although I was seeing something crazy from Qatar. Like Qatar is like high on my bucket list right now. I'm not so sure I want to go to Kuwait, at least one of the other travel bloggers that I saw. The Republic of Congo. Oh man. Hey, I like those logos you're posting, Deacon MMA. Those are our logos for our shirts. Those look cool in there, man. Right now I'm in Singapore. Singapore is like a mix of everything. It's got like I think it's 70% Chinese. They call them the Peranakan. They were like Chinese settlers who came down here for trading because Singapore is at the tip of the Malaysian Peninsula, which is the busiest shipping lanes in the world, the Straits of Malacca. And so Singapore was like this British colony that eventually turned into Malaysia because it's Malay, and then Malaya as they called it, and then it separated from Malaysia, and it's this island area right at the tip of the Malaysian Peninsula. And most of the people from here, traders, traders as in fair trade, like trading, like people who do trading outposts, came from China. 70% of Singapore is Chinese, ethnic Chinese. They call them Peranakan. And then there's like the indigenous people, which are called Malay. Those are Muslim. Those are around like 15%, 10%. And then there's a lot of Hindu, Indian. And then there's some like, foreigners who work here for these Singapore companies from like Germany, Holland, Netherlands, US. So it's a very multicultural place. Salvador, how's it going, my friend? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I was getting text. Oh, Madagascar is another place I keep telling people I want to go. Man, I don't know which way to go from here, right? It's just one of those things. Hello from Kingston, Ontario, Canada. Yeah, thanks to everyone who hit the likes. We went from 138 to 142. Best authentic Mexican food in Phoenix. You're probably going to find the best authentic Mexican food either in like Mesa or maybe in like Glendale or around I would say around Camelback. My dad really likes the Mexican restaurant right there off of I think it's on Thomas, just west of just west of Scottsdale Road. I think it's Oaxacan. It's either Oaxacan. I think it's a Oaxaca Mexican restaurant. Let me see if I can find the name. Oh man, I'm gonna have to go on Google Maps to find this. Uh, I'm gonna go around. It's around Papago Park. My dad, he doesn't leave Arizona like I do. So he's always in Arizona. He's been in Arizona all his life. So I get a lot of my information from him because he's like the true, like every day there, right? He grew up Cave Creek. So they call Cave Creek people creekers. Papago Park. Let me see if I can find this one. All right. So the best one, my dad, I trust his opinion on it. It's a hole in the wall. You never know it's there. Um, it's somewhere in Scottsdale, like Scottsdale towards Papago Park. I want to say it's off of either McDowell or let me see here. Oh man. Scottsdale Road. It's by Google Maps. Let me see. It's like I want to say it's Oaxacan food from Oaxaca. Now you got me on a hunt. You got me working now. Let me see here. It's not on Scottsdale Road. I know that. Hotel Valley Ho. It's nearby the Valley Ho. I know that. You guys ever been to the Valley Ho? All right. So maybe it's 68th Street. No, it's not 68th Street. 64th Street. Let me see. Mexican restaurant. I just know of it from. Oh, maybe it's Tacos Jalisco. Is it Tacos Jalisco? Maybe Tacos Jalisco. Oh man. Oscar's Taco Shop? No, that's not it. Old Town Tortilla Factory. Los Olivos. I think it's Tacos Jalisco. Yeah, I think that's what it's called. It's if it's Jalisco, it's definitely not Oaxacan. So Tacos Jalisco, I think that's the one. That's the one he likes. That's the one he's like, oh, you got to go there, Jay. It's good Mexican food right there. What one has the least amount of HOAs? Anywhere you have property. People who have property. So you're going to have property in Cave Creek. You're going to have property in New River. You're going to have property in Apache Junction. Anytime you have Trek homes, the homes that look all the same, those are the ones. Bill, you a wild man. Wild Bill. Is that your nickname, Bill? Wild Bill. That's funny. Thomas and 135th. What? 135th Ave or 135th Street? I don't think it goes to the Ave, so it's got to be 135th Street, huh? So Thomas. Oh, is it Av? Are you on the Avs? I was gonna say if you're on Thomas and 135th Street, you're out there in like the Indian reservation. You're on Fort McDowell. Goodyear. Yeah, Goodyear. Okay. Yeah, you're way out there. How long good man, if you wanted to go to the D-backs World Series game, how long would it have taken you to get down to Bank One Ballpark, Chase Field? I still call it Bank One Ballpark. If you got a problem with that, I'm sorry. How long would it take you to get to the airport too? And then how long does it take you to get to the Cardinals games? Because that's the one I'm jealous about. Although this year, being a Cardinals fan is awful. Being a Cardinals fan this year is terrible. But we knew that was coming. But Kyler's back, so we'll have to see. I went to the fourth game. Amazing. 45 minutes? Okay, that's not too bad. No, man, not D-bag. Diamondbacks, D-backs. State Farm is fairly close. Yeah, we might get the first round pick. It's either us or the Carolina Panthers. I was hoping the Texans were going to be worse than they are, but they're kind of killing it. I guess CJ Stroud ended up being a good investment for them, wasn't he? But yeah, I mean, if Kyler, I don't know. I don't know about Kyler. Is he too small? He's too small to really count on for the future, isn't he? I mean, look what happened to Russell Wilson. Like Drew Brees was a small quarterback though, and he stayed in for a long time. But I think the discipline and the mentality of Drew Brees versus Kyler is a bit different. How about Salazar brothers? Yeah, I mean, you guys tell me what you think is the best Mexican food. I mean, Tacos Jalisco was the one that I said, but we need a solid QB. Kyler is a mediocre player. Yeah, he's well, I mean, look at in the year 2021, we opened the season like what, 10-2? We were rocking and rolling. Some of that was because of some luck too, but also Kyler was really dominating. Then he got injured. Once Kyler got injured, I think he got rattled a bit. That was Kyler was they were talking about making him the MVP that year, remember? So, I don't know. The thing with doing the quarterback carousel where you're moving around quarterbacks and trying to find the next Kurt Warner, that's like Kurt Warner was like a once in a lifetime find. I mean, that was just luck. Kurt Warner was definitely my favorite quarterback. Okay, so here we go. We got some names coming for some favorite tacos or favorite Mexican food. El Norteno. I like their beans. What's so good about their beans? Is it like cheese and is it refried or black beans or what? Are they? I mean, now you're making me want some Mexican food. I'm out here in Singapore. I don't know. I have to find some Mexican restaurants. Yeah, but Brock Purdy, he's short, he's small too, and he's like kind of fallen off the last 3 years. I did see that Kurt Warner movie. Kurt Warner, it definitely makes Kurt Warner look like a saint, right? It makes Kurt Warner look like he's just like the what's the name of the movie? I forgot. I watched it on the airplane. How about those Wildcats? They beat Duke. Yeah, we were just talking about the Wildcats, how Gronk was just hyping up the Wildcats. I think Arizona State came up because remember at the beginning of the season, like the talk of the town was Colorado, USC, Caleb Williams, and then all of a sudden Arizona and Arizona State almost beat USC, and then I think they almost beat Colorado. I think they did beat Colorado. One of them did. Served hot cheesy hole on the corner near 7th Avenue, Firefly says. Which one? Where can I order some Cobra swag? Oh, man. So I got a bunch of Cobra clothing in my garage that I ordered. It's in boxes and bags. And I just, because I travel so much, I never opened up the store because apparently in order to open up the store, you've got to drop ship it. You got to send it yourself. Like every day someone make an order, I got to go to the post office. And I was like, oh, that's not going to work while I'm traveling. So I basically got all the Cobra gear and everything, like hats and all that. And I was thinking maybe one day I'll just give it all away. I invested a few $1,000s into it. And some of the stuff that I did wear, I gave away to Goodwill. So I was like, oh, I'll get it out into the population by giving it away to Goodwill. At least someone will wear it. And it'll be like good advertising or something like that. So we'll see. I'm so surprised no athletes want to come out to Tempe. This is the place to be. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. Well, look who came out to Tempe, right? Like Kevin Durant, he wanted to be in Arizona. Um, Chris Paul was pissed off when he got traded. Um, John Wall's trying to come out to be on the Suns. I mean, the word's out there that Arizona's the place to be, but that's not how the game works. I mean, if that was how it worked, Giannis and uh, Dame Lillard wouldn't be up in Milwaukee. I mean, if that's really how it worked, I mean, and we're kind of seeing that with what happened in Memphis. I think Memphis was like the number one team in the NBA last year, but this year they can't even sell tickets. They can't even give tickets away. They're selling tickets for $4 to go to a Memphis Grizzlies game. That's how bad it is. So we'll see. Tempe is building like crazy. Yeah, Tempe is one area that's got some definitely some stuff going on for it. It's the young people. Young people bring in that synergy. They bring in that energy that brings it to life. Actually, Mill Avenue has gotten more lame over the years. Like Mill Avenue was awesome back in like 2001. If you went down to Mill, oh man, like year 1999 on Mill Avenue, way more exciting than it is now. I went down to Mill Avenue a few times, like maybe 4 or 5 times on different days, just to see if I could keep giving it a second chance, a third chance. I was like, man, Mill Avenue is nothing like what it used to be. I mean, that's the thing. You live in Arizona long enough, you'll see things change over time. Like Mill Avenue is definitely one of those places that has changed and toned down. Um, Tempe used to have some cool places even before they started building all the new stuff. The thing is with the new stuff, it actually takes away from the nightlife. Like I was reading this one thing from those Passport Bros. I'm in a Passport Bros group on Facebook because I work in travel. I like to know the digital nomads, what the backpackers are up to, what the people who go to the Philippines are up to, what the travel communities are up to. And then one of the posts comes up. He's like, man, after going down to Colombia, he's like, I come back to the United States. He had some meme where he was like looking at it like this. He's like, he ain't even going out to the nightlife in the United States after going out of the country. Like the nightlife outside the country is so much more interesting and entertaining than it is inside of the U.S. Hey, thanks, Bill. See you over on Island Hopper TV, hopefully. That man-made water park closed down in Tempe. Are you talking about Big Sur? I mean, Big Sur is like the coolest park too, and then they like closed it down. I mean, Tempe used to be popping before they had the Rio Salado lake. I mean, that's where people would go to watch the fireworks at 4th of July. I mean, so Tempe's always been a hot spot. It's just changed now. It's way more modern. But the thing is, with all that modern stuff and all those modern investors who live in New York, all they want to do is just make money. So they're just trying to sell lakefront property or whatever they're trying to do. But they don't encourage any sort of like nightlife. I mean, if it wasn't for that stadium being there, the Sun Devil Stadium, I mean, that place would be like, I don't know, man. Long Wongs on Mill. I mean, there's some cool places still around Tempe area. Um, I mean, what are they doing with the mill? You know, the actual mill right there on Mill Avenue. Like, it's just it's a historical site or something, but it's like you go there and you're like, okay, what are we doing with the mill? The mill just looks run down. It's taking up high rent real estate. It's like either make that thing into a museum that people want to go to, or just tear it down at this point. But they're so conflicted about what they're going to do with the mill. It's like, okay, so we'll just do nothing. And that right there is the logic of Arizona city planning. It's like, wow. I mean, you want to talk about annoying. That's some stuff that just drives you nuts. Not to mention the fact that Mill Avenue is constantly under construction these days. Like, it's always under construction. Like, how long are they going to take to build that light rail line that no one's going to ride except for the homeless? Nothing against the homeless. I mean, you know, I get it. You know, people fall on hard times, but the people who ride that, they're not very friendly people. Is dangerous. I couldn't recommend it to my sister, her kids. I wouldn't recommend it to my girlfriend. I wouldn't recommend anyone ride that. Yeah, and then they rejected the NHL arena. That would have been, look, NHL, Coyotes need to move down there. The Phoenix Rising need to move down there. The Arizona Diamondbacks should be down in Tempe, or the Suns should be in Tempe, or the Cardinals should be in Tempe. I firmly believe that is the heart and soul of Phoenix Metro, downtown Tempe. Obviously, you can't build a stadium. I mean, you'd have to tear down the Cubbies Stadium and build the actual ballpark because there's not enough land there. I mean, that's the thing with building the mega stadium like the Cardinals playing. You got to have enough land. Um, yeah, we have In-N-Out. Oh man, we have In-N-Out. We have Whataburger. You know, Arizona does have In-N-Out. You didn't see they're building a huge project around it like Magnolia in Texas. Has become business, and party scene is moving to Phoenix. It's too expensive. Well, the best party scene in like Phoenix right now, obviously Old Town, what around the W, I think it's called, where all the young people go. It's like the craziest nightlife you can find in Phoenix. It's around not Old Town, it's I'll tell you where it's at. I don't go there because it's just too crazy, really. It's actually perfect for young people, but it's too crazy for me. Um, it's on Scottsdale Road. Let me see here. The craziest nightlife in Arizona is definitely, I think it's off Indian School Road. Yeah. Why am I having a hard time finding that on the map? Where is it? They're not even. What? Monarch Hotel. It's off of Drinkwater. That area around Drinkwater. Indian School and Drinkwater. I forgot the name of the area. I just know I went down there. I was like, this is some crazy nightlife. Like exciting nightlife. I want to call it the W. Or is it off Camelback? Oh, it's off Camelback. Sorry, guys. It is the W. It's the W Scottsdale. And they got that's the craziest nightlife I've seen anywhere, man, in Arizona. So you got that area where the W is. That's some you go there on a Saturday night. Oh my gosh. That's like what Tempe used to be, where the W is in Scottsdale. And then there's some more calm, chilled out nightlife in Gilbert. And then Roosevelt Row. Yeah, Roosevelt Row's up and coming for sure. Um, I'm on the west side. I'm praying to move out there. Yeah, west side used to have some stuff, but they've closed it all down and they concentrated to around the Arizona Cardinals Stadium, Westgate. Oh, you heard on the grapevine that ASU is a party school? Oh man, where'd you hear that? I never heard that before. We used to make Arizona State used to make so many rankings like that you wouldn't want to rank for. Oh man, that was back in the early 2000s. In the early 2000s, late 90s was, let's put it like this. The reason that Joe Arpaio became famous was because Arizona was a crazy place. You guys may remember what happened with Sammy the Bull Gravano in Tempe. That was like everywhere, man. I don't know who's old school Arizona or old school Phoenix, but late 90s, there was a crackdown, and then the Joe Arpaio had to go all crazy, like put people in tent cities wearing pink. If you got a DUI back in like the late 90s, you were going to go to tent city. You were going to pay all these fines. You were going to pay for the whole thing, and then you were going to wear pink for 10 days in tent city. And it didn't matter if it was summer or winter. That was the crazy days. And then it just something happened in like 2010. Everything just kind of like, I'm not saying I want to bring back the craziness or anything. I just want to bring back the vibe. We had a cultural identity in Arizona in the 90s and in the 2000s that's just not there anymore. Like you don't see it anymore. It's amazing how Phoenix has changed like that. At least all the freeways were clean. Yeah. Freeways. Lola. Guacamole. How'd you get that name? Is that your real name? Guacamole? Chiba Hut. Oh, dude, Chiba Hut. My friend works there. The cameraman who works for the channel used to work there. I'm too young, 99, baby, but I could only imagine. Oh, man. I would say the year 2000, when Y2K came around, Phoenix, because that was like around the year I went into the Navy was 2003. And I remember when I joined the Navy, I was telling everyone in the Navy, Phoenix is the place to be. And, I grew up there the whole time. I joined the Navy at like 20. So first 20 years of my life, Phoenix. And then I was telling everyone, Phoenix. I even got the tattoo that said Phoenix. I got that in the year 2004. Because I was like so proud of where I was from. And then I came back and I was like, things have changed. Things have changed. I mean, it's true. Midtown and Uptown Phoenix is a great place to have a ton of nice restaurants. Yeah, I mean, Arcadia also. There's some nice restaurants around like Biltmore. Yeah, I would totally move there. My first time in Phoenix, I stayed at the Hilton DoubleTree. The Hilton DoubleTree is a worldwide brand that originated in Scottsdale, right? So my dad used to work for Kitchell. If you look up Hilton DoubleTree, it was from Scottsdale and it was founded by Kitchell. That was the construction company. They had a couple different construction companies, but Kitchell was one of them. And Kitchell would actually come to our house. My dad used to eat. My dad was just a construction guy, and Kitchell will come hang out with him and a couple other guys. I remember we were doing dinner, and they're like, "Kitchell's coming over," and but he's the guy who founded Hilton DoubleTree, and I didn't even know that until recently. Like I stay at Hilton DoubleTrees all around the world. They're actually like a mid-level Hilton. They're not quite the Conrad or the Hilton like business or first class style Hilton, and they're not quite Hilton Garden Inn. They're like a mid-level, but that came from Scottsdale. There's a road called DoubleTree. The Willow House Coffee Shop at 3rd Avenue in McDowell. All right, free promotion for them. Sheriff Joe tried to be mayor of Fountain Hills. He lost. Look, here's the thing. I'm not a big fan of Sheriff Joe, actually. He's too extreme. There's a certain, like, I'm for law and order. Don't get me wrong. I'm cool with that. But this guy, he was too crazy. Like, now if the streets are getting out of control and there's a lot of high crime, I mean, a guy like Sheriff Joe, he can get the job done, right? He will get the job done, and you need him in that case. But the sheriff's department was getting a little bit too out of control with it towards the wrong people, the people who weren't really committing too much infractions, doing too much bad stuff. Yeah, now there are no more laws. So it's these extremes. You need to find the happy medium. Like in some cases, you need an enforcement guy like Sheriff Joe, and then in some cases, you need someone who tells Sheriff Joe, "Hey, tone it down." But we've gone too far left, too far right. Like so, Sheriff Joe too far right, and then we're too far left now, where there's no enforcement, where people are just breaking into cars with no threat of repercussion. Like in San Francisco, we're seeing what's happening where people are just knocking the window out of your car. They're knocking the window out. Police are down the road, and two guys are robbing your Suburban or your SUV, taking your luggage out, putting it in their car, lollygagging around, not even a sense of urgency, getting in the car and just driving away. You don't want to live in that kind of world because all your personal belongings are going to get jacked by people who want to steal. I personally don't steal because karma, a lot of reasons. Like I don't want that energy on myself. That's a negative energy to thieve and steal. So I don't want to do that. But some people don't give a crap, and they don't have morals or ethics, and they'll just steal things, whatever they want. And if there's no form of law enforcement to stop it, you're going to get runaway crime. And in that case, you do need someone with an iron fist like Joe Arpaio to come along. So in that case, he could do the job. So again, we have too far left, too far right. We need a happy medium. It's not hard to get that happy medium. I think most young people under like 60, to all you under 60-year-olds, I think you have an idea of what that would look like, especially if you're like around 40 to 50. I think you have an idea of what that happy medium would look like for law enforcement, where it's not too much brutality and it's not too much crime on the streets. It's a medium. But it seems like our country right now, the leadership just doesn't know how to like create that happy medium, right? That wouldn't fly in some states, especially in the South. Well, yeah, I mean, you've seen those videos. Have you guys not seen the videos on social media where people are just literally just taking a hammer, busting out the window, going in there, grabbing out a whole suitcase, and then another suitcase. The guy's rummaging through the front, got enough time to do all that. Some guy's standing at the top of the condos filming, some lady saying, "Hey, that's my car. Don't do that." And then there's like police down the road and no one does anything about it. And the guys are just like, "Yeah, what are you going to do about it?" Like when you have criminals that have that much bravado to look at, to literally rob you right in front of you and say, "Yeah, what are you going to do about it?" When you've gotten to that point, you might not have that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. So how did we get to that point? We went from Joe Arpaio to that. Oh man, what happened to the middle? Yeah, AJ, man, you know what I'm talking about. I'm from the Bay. Most people that I know have had their window hit once. Yeah, I mean, and to be honest with you, I don't want to live in a society like that. That's why I'll travel. I'll leave. I'll get out of that place that I'm in. If it gets to that point, I'm out because then I can't have any belongings. I can't have anything of value in my house because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when these people are going to come along and take your stuff, and that's not cool, man. That's you can't live in a world like that. And at that point, so people who want to defund the police, I'm like, really? I'm against police brutality because I've been around, like I just said, Joe Arpaio, he was too much. I've been around cops who show up at my house asking me why my car is parked like that. My car's parked like that because I'm bringing the groceries in. Can I do that first? It's my house, in front of my house. And he's coming up to me like, okay, is this necessary to be coming at me with this kind of energy right now at my house? So I get that. I've seen cops that just like, get down on the ground or I'll hit you with this. Just ask me to get down. um, so it's yeah, non-emergency will not respond anymore. I mean, I wouldn't want to be a police officer. Would you want to be a police officer in this day and age? Like, why? I mean, if you're confronted with a life or death situation, it's literally the prisoner or the criminal has more rights than you as the cop. Because if you do anything to defend yourself, God forbid you should have to, they're going to drag your name through the mud in the news. And then you're going to live with depression, anxiety, and all these problems that these cops that get expelled from the police force. I mean, and don't get me wrong, we've seen videos of Mesa police departments doing some things that were just total abuse of power. So I don't really know how to solve it, but there's got to be a middle ground. And I think most people have an idea of what that should look like because they're sensible and common sense. But for some reason, there's been DAs that have been appointed that literally are like nonsensical. They're not making any sense. You're asking me, would I rather live on 27th Ave in Indian School or South Phoenix? Oh man, 27. Neither, man. I got to be honest with you. No, not one of those. Not one of those appealed to me because it's just a matter of getting hit. It's a matter of getting in some sort of confrontation. I mean, it's drama all around you. I could not do either one of those. I mean, you could ask me, would I rather do, because I would say South Phoenix and 27th Ave, they're kind of the same thing. I mean, what, they're like 30 minutes away from each other by car, maybe less by freeway, 15 minutes by freeway, right? But it's like, would you rather live in South Phoenix or around 7th Ave and Bell Road? I would take 7th Avenue and Bell Road or Sunny Slope over 27th Ave or South Phoenix. Maybe the Goodfellas, yeah. South Phoenix or Buckeye? I'd take Buckeye all day long, man. And I'm not even a fan of Buckeye. Oh man, it's kind of crazy because I went to the Mob Museum in Las Vegas. I don't know if you guys have ever been to the Mob Museum in Las Vegas. One of the coolest dang museums I ever been to. Seriously, how the mafia built. Now again, Law and Order, we talk about Law and Order, but the mafia was a force for good. And if looking back on it, there was a lot of things that the mafia did that were good. Although you wouldn't have wanted to be in the mafia because that's a chaotic life. So I'm not promoting the lifestyle of mafia coming back. I'm just saying you go to that Las Vegas Mob Museum, you get some good history and perspective about what it took to build a city like Vegas. And you have everyone from like Bugsy Siegel. I mean, you could watch the movie Bugsy Siegel on one of these streaming platforms. I think it's called Siegel, Bugsy Siegel. It'll give you some insight into what was built in Las Vegas. But the mob, man, they kept the streets kind of clean, and at the same time, it wasn't a bad time probably for non-mafia. If you were in the mafia, you were walking a tightrope for sure. Speaking of police, would you say the Arizona Highway Patrol is strict on speeding? Used to be more strict. Now they went to more of the photo radar stuff. Photo radar I'm not a big fan of photo radar. You make one little mistake, and next thing you know, it's like, oh, you were going 7 miles over the speed limit. No, not 7. I think it's like 10. But they take a picture of your license plate. They send you a thing in the mail. Photo radar, I don't know. I'd almost rather have the police back on the streets than have the photo radar always taking pictures of your license plate and, trying to pump you for 350, 350 here, 350 there. But no, I wouldn't say that Arizona Highway Patrol is out of control. No. Would you guys? Would you say that Arizona Highway Patrol is out of control? I wouldn't. There's definitely parts of South Phoenix that are quiet. I've been to South Phoenix, especially in the new neighborhoods where they're gentrifying or modernizing it with new homes. I mean, those are some nice areas of South Phoenix, but you go right across the street. Oh shoot. It's kind of weird because it's like, how do you want to live in one of those gated communities with the new homes when right down the road, it's kind of crazy like that. Yeah, I don't really remember seeing any AHP, Arizona Highway Patrol. I mean, I know in California it's called CHP, right? Um, yeah, I mean, I used to get pulled over a lot more when I was younger, probably because I was younger, but I haven't been pulled over in 10 years. Photo radar is draconian, yeah. I asked because from what I hear, AZ has some aggressive drivers and wrong way drivers. Yeah, okay. So in that case, you would be encouraging some strict law enforcement, right? For the wrong way drivers, a lot of that is just accidents. No one's driving the wrong way down a freeway on purpose, right? And even then, what could a Arizona Highway Patrol do aside from like, hey, 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 flash your lights, like don't go that way. And I mean, some of the people who are going the wrong way, they're usually people who are taking some of those pharmaceutical pills that are making them a little bit loopy and they don't even realize it. And they're driving head on down the road or they're drunk. So that's a big thing. The wrong way driver stuff. Some of that you would think could be solved with signs. Like if they're going to put a sign that says off ramp 109 on the other side, put a big red orange sign or something that says wrong way. Like have signs going on the on ramps in the opposite direction of the sign, like it's like an Oreo cookie, like each side has a cookie and then inside is filling or whatever. But one side says wrong way, the other side tells you the right way, right? So if you're driving the wrong way, there's all sorts of signs telling you you're going the wrong way. I mean, that would be one big thing. Putting a sensor that says, hey, wrong way, like starts indicating to you that you're going to the wrong way. And then once that indicator goes off, you look up or look in front of you, it says wrong way. You're able to stop, pull over, and turn around, right? But I don't know. Maybe I don't know why they haven't done that. They probably have put in some things that stopped wrong way drivers. But the aggressive drivers, I mean, that would be something that they like on the freeways. Oh man. US 60. US 60 has some of the craziest drivers. And guess what? They're always the guys in the big, jacked up, lifted trucks. Always. They're construction workers or whatever they're doing. They just fly down the freeway. Flying down the freeway like 90, 100. or the guys on the motorcycles, or the guys in the that want to be like Fast and the Furious. Yeah, US 60s, US 60 is quite crazy. US 60 is crazy, and yeah, I don't, maybe the 101 can get kind of crazy. I would say US 60 is probably the craziest. If you guys want me to keep going, 152 likes, keep it going. I'm just chilling out, enjoying my morning here in Singapore, actually. It's 12:46 here in the afternoon. Probably going to do some editing for Island Hopper TV when I get a chance. Here in VA, it's illegal to run radar in your vehicle. Yeah, the radar detectors. Have you ever been to El Charro in Tucson? It's supposed to have the first Mexican restaurant in the U.S., and they invented the chimichanga. Invented the chimichanga in Tucson? Well, I do know that Tucson is a UNESCO World Heritage Site for its food, in particular Mexican food. The old Pueblo, right? I have not been there. I did not go there yet. I was doing 85 on 101, and the day in Scottsdale, and there was a state trooper on a motorcycle with a radar gun, and on us, he said, didn't flinch. I know 85 isn't the fast, just saying. I mean, 85 is fast. That is fast. That's quite fast. Dudes with jacked up trucks have the massive light bars. Yeah, so I mean, the massive light bars, those guys, they're into the hobby of cars, right? Or trucks, off-roading. And the thing is, most of those guys, they don't even take that damn thing off-road. They just drive it on the freeways every day. They got this massive off-road tank vehicle that they barely even take off-road. And they don't take it off-road because one of the first things you get when you go off-road is what? Well, aside from mud on the tires and mud in the undercarriage. Arizona pinstripes. What are Arizona pinstripes? Arizona pinstripes are when you go buy a Palo Verde tree or a cactus or an ironwood tree or a mesquite. What are you going to get on the paint? It's going to peel. It's going to scratch the paint. I mean, just one trip off-road into Box Canyon out in the Superstition Springs, you're coming back with at least 10 different Arizona pinstripes. Most of these dudes in the jacked up trucks with all these off-road vehicle stuff, they're literally just using it to just intimidate other drivers on US 60. Pavement pounders, man. If you got a big truck like that and you don't have any scratches or any dings, questionable. It's questionable. Because you're not even using the vehicle for what it's for. Right? Guys in those jacked up trucks are like 5 feet tall. Yeah, you see them getting out, and they're wearing them like Wrangler jeans and them cowboy boots, and smell like cologne. All clean and dapper. Nothing against that, but I'm just saying, like, that's not a cowboy. Cowboys, maybe when they clean up, but most cowboys, they're dirty from being a cowboy. Baling hay and riding horses and horseshoeing and welding and all that crap that real cowboys do, right? So it's all front. It's all just an act. I'm not even saying that dudes who drive jacked up trucks are I mean, I had a big Ford Raptor. That was a big truck. It wasn't necessarily jacked up, but it was too much vehicle for what I was doing. Once I realized that, I was like, it's too much vehicle. Be wary of Nissan Altima drivers or moms in minivans. They will be on your behind. Oh, man. Moms in minivans. I used to call them the CRV crew. Like, I would always say someone in a CRV. They just, like, if you come to a stop sign at the same time as a mom in a minivan or a CRV in particular, she's not going to give you the right way. Like, if you come, even if you show up early, she's still going to take it. Or if you arrive at the McDonald's and you're just kind of coasting into McDonald's or something, like, I don't know, Filiberto's drive through, and you encounter a mom in a minivan or a CRV, not with the kids. With the kids, okay, she can go ahead of me. But I'm talking about just by herself, she's going to cut you off right away. Or she's got to go to the CVS pharmacy drive through, right? I mean, these are stereotypes, but they're true. I mean, it's like getting in the grocery store behind one of those people who drive like that. That they have no regard for other people. They're just rude. Just rude. I'm 5'4" and wear tennis shoes in my Bimmer. Bimmer. When you buy a truck, you really have to pay for the gas. I mean, yeah, that's the gas price on a truck is outrageous. I mean, I think you're getting like 17 miles to the gallon in street driving, maybe less. And with gas prices pushing $5, staying around $5 in Phoenix, you're looking at $300 a month, $300 a week for gas with one of those trucks. All right, guys, I'm going to get off now. It's 2 hours and 15 minutes. Thanks for watching and smashing up the likes, and we'll see you guys on the next one. I don't have my Raptor anymore. I traded it in for a Hyundai Palisade. It was just a base model Hyundai Palisade. It works for everything I need to do. See you later, AJ. See you later, Deacon. And see you all later.